Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Desktop Ball. It's the only show where I sit on my desktop and talk ball. Today is Wednesday, March 19th. Hear that? We got ourselves a bracket, paper bracket. It is blank. I'm not going to fill it out on paper. Obviously, that would make for a miserable podcasting experience. So, what I will do is fill it all out right here on camera on my computer. We've got a blank bracket. I'm hyped for it. I mean, this is one of the years I've paid the most attention to college basketball. I'm always big on college basketball, but this year I feel like I'm really dialed in. And I tell myself this every year, but this is the year. This is the year that I dial in. So let's do it. Let's go and build a perfect bracket, and let's do it right now. Actually, let's not do it right now. Let's start off by talking about the first four. Now, typically, I wouldn't talk about the first four. I mean, like, it's the first four. What do you care? But I mean, look at the hat, look at the shirt. I mean, these are my two teams that I care about. I went to Texas. I've been a Carolina fan my whole life. So I have to talk about them. Let's start with the good. Carolina. Carolina doesn't belong in the tournament. Carolina doesn't belong in the tournament. Well, here's 37-point win for you or 27-point win for you, whatever that is. It was an absolute mauling of the San Diego State Aztecs, who are terrible and did not belong in the tournament. If you want to play the don't belong in the tournament game. Indiana, West Virginia, I thought those teams would be in. I thought that, I honestly thought Texas was going to be the team that gets snubbed, or Xavier even would get snubbed. I thought Carolina was going to find a way into this tournament the whole time. They find a way in. They win by 27. They just absolutely murdered San Diego State. It was never close. A lot of this, like it was, it was 92-57 even, before we put in scrubs and let him go on a little run. It was an absolute massacre. It was a murder. It was a slaughter. It was embarrassing. It was terrible television. One of the most boring basketball games I've ever watched. Just an absolute throttling. And the Aztecs didn't belong on the court with the Tar Heels. Simply, they could not play with them. Um, a couple 16 seeds played. I think American lost to Mount St. Mary's, and the Red Flash. Who let's look here. The Alabama State yellow team beat the St. Francis Red Flash, which is too bad because Red Flash is a sweet name. I wanted them to win, but doesn't really matter. They're playing one seeds. They're probably not going to win anyways. Uh, let's talk about this game. I mean, this is the first four game that people will be talking about. It's the first four game that was the most competitive and interesting and everything. Um, Up eight at halftime, up 13 with the biggest lead, and Rodney Terry does it again. Just an absolute terrible coaching job. How many times is he going to do this before we let him go? It's, we had Chris Beard. It didn't work out. We went with an assistant. We extended the assistant, and here we are. I don't know. Arthur Kaluma is not in the game in the big moments. Arthur Kaluma not in the game. Trey Johnson not getting touches. The possessions where Tremont Mark, who I can't stand, is just bringing the ball up and just messing around, just dribbling, just dribbling around. I can't stand it. Can't stand it. I think Rodney Terry needs to go. You just can't trust him in the big games. And just a total waste of Trey Johnson, who is the best Texas Longhorn basketball player since Kevin Durant. And, we showed other five-star recruits that, hey, you come to Texas, you'll put up a bunch of points and we'll give you, we won't give you enough to have any chance to win games. Trey Johnson could have been better in this game. He was not particularly efficient. He could have he had some bad shot selection, but ultimately it just falls on Rodney Terry. Another collapse. I mean, you think back to that Texas Miami game, and I'm rambling about Texas. Odds are you don't care about Texas, but Fire Rodney Terry. I'm sick of him. I'm so sick of him. Get him gone. That's the first four. Congratulations to the 11 seeds who advanced. Carolina's going to get Ole Miss, and that means that Xavier gets Illinois. Without further ado, let's do a bracket. Let's just go ahead and pick all the one seeds because we know we're going to pick all the one seeds. No point really talking about it. I like, could it happen for a third time? Yeah, it could happen for a third time. Probably not this year, though. I mean, if you think back to that Virginia team and that Purdue team that lost to 16 seeds, they have some things in common regarding their pace, their inability to play offense, and they just got caught on bad days. You're not going to catch Auburn, Duke, or Florida on a bad day. It could maybe happen to Houston, but SIU Edwardsville is probably the worst 16 seed. And it's just like it's Kelvin Sampson. Like it's probably not going to happen. So no real point going too deep into it. The 8-9s this year are incredible. I mean, this is four of the best 8 seeds, at least in terms of brand. I mean, Louisville, UConn, and Gonzaga are, I mean, those are basketball schools, quintessential basketball schools. Um, let's talk about Louisville Creighton. I think this is the best 8 seed and the best 9 seed. I like Georgia. I like Oklahoma. I like Baylor. I think Creighton, with Ryan Cockbrenner, the 7-footer, is the team that I trust the most of the 9 seeds. But Louisville, I mean, Louisville should be a 6. How is Louisville an 8? I don't know. They go on a run in the ACC tournament, play Duke tough, beat Clemson on the way there, who's a 5 with a very similar resume. I mean, this Louisville team, I think, is really good, and I think advances over Creighton. Um, I'm always cautious of the popular upsets. There are some really popular upsets. The whole world loves this UC San Diego team, um, and like when the whole world is on it, it makes me very skeptical. Very skeptical. Uh, I like Michigan. They've got two 7-footers. I don't know that UC San Diego can hang with that caliber of size. I know it's happened to like Zach Edey Purdue teams in the past. So it's not always necessarily size that wins in these like 5-12, 4-13 matchups. But I just don't buy Michigan, or I don't buy this UC San Diego thing. Everyone is on them. Literally everyone is on them. So I want to fade it, especially just because this Michigan team, I mean, they probably should be a 4 seed. They just went on a run and won the Big Ten tournament. I'm a big believer in Michigan. At least, I wouldn't say big believer. That's a bit of a stretch, but it is what it is. I think they're good enough to advance past UC San Diego, and the fact that the whole world is on UC San Diego just makes me want to stick to Michigan. Um, and this is one that like I could totally see myself regretting as soon as the ball is tipped, but it is what it is. We're gonna roll with it. A&M Yale. If you look at A&M as a team, what do they do well and what do they do badly? Well, what they do badly is everything. They are, by every metric, this is a bad basketball team, except they are an exceptional rebounding team. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the country. Another team that's a really, really good rebounding team is Yale. They do not allow anywhere like they allow the second least offensive rebounds of anyone in the field. So I really like this Yale team to take down A&M. This is not something that they're going to shy away from. They did this last year. They had a big upset. I think this Yale team's going to have some fight. I think they're going to be good. And I think they're going to nullify a lot of what Texas A&M does well. And if you take away the rebounding for A&M, they're not that good of a team. Wade Taylor's having his worst year as an Aggie. He's their best player, and the matchup is just really good for Yale. I trust them in that game. if you saw the way Carolina played in that game, you'd pick them too in against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, it's a Chris Beard team. You know, they're going to play relatively slow, good, good, tough defense, all that good stuff. But I just don't think they have the talent. I think Carolina's the more talented team in this game. I'm interested actually in this. Oh, can I open in a new tab here? Surely I can. Oh, okay, there we go. Um, Carolina opened and still is a favorite. And, I think that's deserved. I think Carolina is better than Ole Miss. I think they're more talented. Obviously, I'm a fan. I've watched a ton of Carolina games this year, and I've watched a lot of Ole Miss as well, just being, a Texas fan, watching the SEC all the time. I really don't buy this Ole Miss team. I don't think they're that good. It's a Chris Beard team. They're phenomenally well coached. He is getting the absolute most out of the talent because there's not that much talent. But I like Carolina. I think they're the better team. And I like Carolina to go on a run. We'll talk about it more in depth as we go through this region. Iowa State over Lipscomb, not a ton to talk about there. I think they're just going to handle that despite the injury. Marquette over New Mexico. Don't buy New Mexico one bit, although Richard Pitino's coaching there. I just think Marquette's better. And then Michigan State over Bryant. No real need to go too in depth there. This is a road game for Auburn in Lexington, Kentucky. So is this Louisville Creighton game, by the way. Another reason that I like Louisville in that game. But give me Auburn tight, maybe. Maybe give them a scare that galvanizes them through the tournament, and not to that might give you a hint as to who I like out of this region. Maybe Louisville gives them a scare, and that galvanizes them to make a little run. I like Auburn in that game. I trust Auburn. The talent is just there. The whole world's fading Auburn because they had a tough, finish to the year. But this team is really damn good. They're really well coached. They're never going to be out coached. They're rarely going to be out talented. I don't think Louisville is the team that out coaches or out talents them. Give me Auburn. Give me Michigan just because I don't, I'm kind of hedging, honestly. If Yale doesn't beat Texas A&M, at least I've still got Michigan to make that run, and I can still fight for Michigan. Now, if UCSD goes and beats Michigan like the whole world thinks they're going to, that'll be pretty embarrassing for me. What's the spread on that game? Yeah, I mean, only a 2.5 point favorite are the Wolverines. So, I mean, people really like UC San Diego. It's not like a wild upset to pick. It's actually quite popular, and if you want to take it, go ahead and take it. I like to fade those big public upsets. Iowa State's banged up. Their best player's hurt. I forget his name. I feel a little bad about that. But Carolina, like they don't release odds for that before. But Carolina's the better team. And then Michigan State, this Marquette team, I don't really buy very much, honestly. Um, and you know what I'm gonna do? Give me Auburn over Michigan. Give me North Carolina in the Elite Eight. Give me Carolina deep. RJ Davis was on a team that made a run. And he knows what it's like. Then he was the ACC Player of the Year, led Carolina to a 1 seed. They should have beat Alabama in the Sweet 16. Jalen Withers chucks a terrible three up with 20 seconds in the shot clock. They find a way to lose. I really think that this Carolina team is going to find a way. And this Michigan State team, the whole world is on them. Everybody is taking Michigan State in this region. I'm telling you, Michigan State is not that caliber of team this year. They're very good. They're very good. And odds are Carolina will not beat them. But I just don't trust them deep the way I trust the other 2 seeds. I love Alabama. I love Tennessee. I just can't. I don't trust them to that extent. And then give me Auburn to the Final Four in the South region coming out of it. Let's go to the West next. Actually, let's go. Let's go to Duke. Let's go to the top right, where I have a big decision to make, and I haven't made it yet. But I'll keep it relatively simple for you. I like Duke a lot in this region. Matter of fact, let's just do this. And I'll tell you why. This team is the most talented Duke team maybe since Zion and RJ Barrett, but like honestly, maybe in my lifetime. This is the best Duke team I think I've ever seen as a Carolina fan. Having to face this Duke team 3 times, they're so big, they're so talented. They have 3 top 10 draft picks in Cooper Flag, Con Knipple and Anthony. No, it can't be Anthony. Something Malawach. I don't know his first name. My apologies, but he's 7'2" and he's extremely talented for a 7'2" player. This Duke team's good. Their path to the Elite Eight is very easy. I mean, like very, very easy. And the other team that I really like is Alabama. And we're going to take that. Well, yeah, I mean, we're going to take them to the Elite Eight as well. I really, really believe in this Alabama team. I think just like sheer pace, like they're going to come out if like Robert Morris, they're going to lose by 40. Like this Alabama team is just going to shock them with pace. Grant Nelson being injured is a concern, yes. But I think they could get through the first weekend without him, and maybe he comes back or something along those lines. I just really like this Alabama team. I think they're seriously, seriously good. And the pace that they play with, I think is just nuts. This is the big decision for me. I'm gonna delay making it for a minute here. So pardon me with that. Last year in Charlotte, I went to see North Carolina in their first round matchup against a 16 seed. While I was there in Charlotte, I also got to watch three other games. I watched Tennessee maul somebody in the first round. I watched, oh my goodness, who else did I watch? Um, oh, I saw Texas. I saw Texas and Colorado State, which Texas won. And I saw Mississippi State play against Tom Izzo and Michigan State. And I picked Mississippi State in that game, and the ball was tipped. And I literally was looking at the court and I said, Tom Izzo is on one side, Mississippi State is on the other. And I took Mississippi State. I'm the biggest idiot on the planet. And, they just cakewalked through that game. And I feel very similarly about Scott Drew. I feel very similarly about Baylor. I think they're talented. I think they're better. Like they're probably the better team. Um, let's check the line. Baylor's favored in the game. Let's not overthink it. Matter of fact, 9 seeds win like 55% of the time in these games. So let's go to Baylor. All of my friends are going to be on Baylor. Every league I'm in, everybody's going to be on Baylor. My sister went to Baylor. Like, everybody in every league I play in is going to be on Baylor. This gives Jeremy Roach a revenge game, which is fun. So it sucks that everybody else is on them, but I have to be on them too because they're the better team and I don't want to fade and lose. It's better just jump on the bandwagon. Never fade Oregon in March. This Oregon team is really good. Arizona, Caleb Love, I really like that team as well. Two old Pac-12 rivals playing in this one. And I like the experience and the coaching of Oregon. I think Oregon is the only team in this entire, quadrant that could really give Duke a real scare. Arizona maybe could compete with them. Caleb Love was on that team against Coach Krzyzewski in his very last game, both at Cameron Indoor and coaching period, where Carolina beat Coach Krzyzewski in both of those games. I like Caleb Love as the Duke killer if Arizona were to get to Duke, but I don't think they get through Oregon. I think this Oregon team is really good. They gave Michigan State everything they could handle in the Big Ten tournament, and I think this Oregon team is serious. I've got VCU over BYU. I just like 11 over sixes. I do it like crazy. This BYU team is good. They've kind of gone cold, and do you believe in them? Do you not? I could see them. BYU, I think, is either going to lose this game or get to Alabama. Honestly, they're polarizing. I don't know what to think. I think everybody else is going to take BYU. Let's go with VCU. VCU might be the best 11 seed, probably outside of North Carolina, in my opinion. So let's roll with them. This Wisconsin team can play. Wisconsin basketball is not, it's not your Frank Kaminsky, slow pace of play. Wisconsin basketball, this team can run, they can score, and they're going to have no issue with Montana. I also think they get through VCU and eventually fall to Alabama, who is just the superior offensive team. And then finally, our last game of the region, we've got St. Mary's against Vanderbilt. St. Mary's plays at slow turtle snail pace. Vanderbilt, battle tested, played against a whole bunch of SEC teams. Um, and I think this is the only 10 seed. Oh no, there's another one that I like. But I think this is the only this is one 10 seed that I do like. The issue though is should Vandy even be a 10? Like Texas beat this Vandy team, and as I was watching, I was like, I just don't think this team is really that good, And sure, they played in a tough league, and I don't really buy St. Mary's. I don't trust them. I think St. Mary's might be overseeded. I think Vanderbilt's definitely overseeded. I really like. I think both of these teams are not very good. Um, but I think the whole world is gonna take St. Mary's in the game, so let's just take Vanderbilt. Um, and hope that we get that 50-50 coin flip and ultimately I think Alabama is going to run either of these teams out of the gym when they play in round two, so really no harm no foul there. Now I want to take Alabama so badly over Duke. I want to do it so badly. I just like I dying to take Alabama over Duke. um I just don't know, if they can actually do it. This Duke team, I mean, they're just a Death Star supernova. Like, if you watched Ohio State play football in the college football playoff, this Duke team is that Ohio State team. They are more talented than everybody. They're well enough coached, and it's really tough to pick against them, especially if Alabama is going to be maybe missing Grant Nelson or he's not at full capacity. I think Duke is the only team in this entire region that can hang with Alabama's pace. They're the only team that Alabama's going to play that's going to be more talented than them. Uh, but it's just, can Alabama shoot the lights out like they did against Carolina in the Sweet 16 last year and, find a way to win that game? Um, I think the whole world's going to be on Duke. I think the whole world's going to be on Duke. If I want to differentiate, if I want to win, I have to do it. I have to go with my gut. I really, really like this Alabama team. I've liked them all year, and we're going to take them over Duke, even though they can't defend and, they like all they're going to do is score. We're taking Alabama 110 to 108 over Duke. And so we've got Auburn, Alabama, potential Iron Bowl in the championship. But first, they got to get through two teams that are going to come out of the West and the Midwest. And I'm going to grab a glass of water. All right, Gators get through Norfolk State pretty effortlessly. Let's talk about this Gators team. They're red hot. They just won the SEC. They're playing like the best team in basketball. And, just like all the other one seeds outside of Houston, they're an absolute juggernaut. I think these three one seeds are juggernauts. Houston maybe a little susceptible. I fully strongly believe that there are five teams you're allowed to take as your national champion. And there's five. That's it. It's Auburn, Duke, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida. And I don't even know if I buy Tennessee that much. It could even be four teams. Like, I think that's who you're allowed to pick. So, did I say Florida? Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Duke, Tennessee. Yeah, I think it's like those five, and Tennessee is like maybe. But I've been high on Tennessee all year. Give me Jeremiah Fears and Oklahoma over UConn. I think UConn, everybody's going to want to bet on UConn. Everybody's going to love them. Jeremiah Fears is the most talented player in the game. We're going to go with him and let the Sooners meet the Gators in the SEC rematch in round 32. You may know about Memphis. Tyrese Hunter is not going to play. Tyrese Hunter, the Iowa State Big 12 Freshman of the Year, transferred to Texas, gave us, who was great at Texas, played on that two-seed team that should have made the Final Four and would have had to play at UConn. Then transfers to Memphis. He's a great on-ball defender. He's a very good player, experienced leader, not playing in this game. Give me Colorado State, the hottest team in the country who went on a run to win the Mountain West. Maryland's my favorite team in the tournament. I love them. I love Maryland. I want to take them deep so desperately, so desperately. but you'll see why I can't, and it rhymes with the Florida Gators are really really good. Um, the whole world likes Drake over Missouri, not me. I like Missouri. It's just one of those that the whole world's on it. There's three upsets the whole world is on. Last year it was like McNeese and there were a couple others I forget who it was. Um, but the whole world is on Drake. The whole world is on UCSD. The whole world is on High Point. I'm going to fade all of those. I'm going to fade every single one of them. Um, Texas Tech marches. This Texas Tech team is good. Yes, they're injured, but they two of their better players, whose names are slipping me right now. One of them is Williams, and the other I forget. Are injured. It's not going to matter. This team is really, really good. Probably should be a 2 seed over St. John's, in my opinion. Um, then we've got the coaching quadrant here. It's Bill Self versus Coach Cal for a chance to play Rick Pitino. First, let's just take Rick Pitino. Then let's talk Self versus Calipari. This Kansas team is bad. They're really bad. By Kansas standards, they're awful. And Arkansas has been hot lately. They have, they've played well, especially down the stretch. I think Cal has really figured it out, and the whole world wants Cal versus Patino. Let's do it. Let's go Cal versus Patino in round two. Give me the Gators over Oklahoma. I love the Gators. I love them. I think they're a juggernaut. Maryland over Colorado State. I think this Maryland team is really really good. Um, and I really wanted them to be in Houston's region so I could take them deep. I just can't do it because I really like Florida. Gators move on there. Texas Tech over Missouri probably, and this is kind of my chalk region, honestly. And a lot of people think this is the region of chaos. I don't think this is the region of chaos. I don't think so. Um, I think this one is actually like the chalkiest region. I like Tech over Missouri. I'll take Arkansas over St. John's just because nobody else is going to take them. Everybody likes St. John's just because it's like kind of fun to be like, oh, Rick Pitino, St. John's, Rick Pitino, St. John's, but I don't really think they're that good. And maybe Arkansas can get hot and cause some issues for them. Either way, give me Texas Tech. And then I've got a lot of Texas Tech friends as fans. I don't know if everybody really buys Florida the way I buy Florida. So give me Florida in another in a relatively chalk Final Four matchup against Auburn. Um, but this Florida team is really good, and these 1 seeds this year are like generationally good. I saw something about there's only been 2 1 seeds who were like plus 50 in the net or something like that, like as high rated in the net as it gets, and it was 2 teams that won championships, and Florida, Duke, and Auburn. So, I mean, like that's the kind of 1 seeds we're dealing with here of that caliber. They're all really, really good. Frankly, it's like Duke is going to make the Final Four. I'm picking Alabama because I want them, not really because I can. It's not because I really believe it. Um, so there we are. In the bottom right, in the Houston region in the Midwest, give me Gonzaga over Georgia, despite the fact that I really like Georgia. I think Gonzaga is a really tough draw. They're top 10 in KenPom. I mean, this team is good. They're serious. They're a threat to go on a run. They're a threat to come out of the region. The whole world's on McNeese. I love Clemson. Love Clemson. And you're gonna see just how much I love Clemson in a minute here. Everybody's on High Point. Give me Purdue. High Point. Give me a quick sip of water, and then we can talk about why I like Purdue here. So everybody's on High Point. They're really good at they're really good at what they do defensively, etc. They have not played a quad 2 or quad 1 game. So, this is the caliber of schedule we're dealing with here. And against the 3-pointer, they often guard the perimeter and drop coverage. Purdue's got Braden Smith, who's one of the best, if not the best guard in the country. I just don't think that High Point is going to have the horses to play with Purdue. But just in case they do, we're taking Clemson over Purdue. Just so you know, we're taking Clemson over Purdue, and we're taking them a little deeper than that. I promise you that. I watched Xavier play tonight. I was uninspired. I thought that uh, Texas should have won the game, and then bad coaching showed up. So give me Illinois. This Illinois team, I know nothing about. Here, the only thing I know is that they were high ranked early in the season, and when things were clicking for them, they can be seriously good. Like they can be very very good when things are clicking, but when things aren't clicking, maybe watch out. So could I see them getting upset? Yes. Could I see them making a run to the Elite Eight? Yes. That puts me in a pretty precarious position. I don't really know what to say. I don't really know what to think, but we're at least going to take him over Xavier. And you know what? We're going to call this the region of orange is what we're going to call this because there's some orange teams in this region and we like them all. Give me Kentucky over Troy. I trust Kentucky over Troy. Give me UCLA, who's quietly, a 7 seed this year, got no press. Nobody talks about them. I mean, like not a peep about this UCLA team. Um, but they're pretty good, right? Like they got a 7 seed. I don't know. Like the Big Ten, it's been so quiet this year outside of the top couple teams. Like after Oregon, like Illinois, UCLA. Who else is like lower seeded from the Big Ten? Are there any? Um, Maybe that's the issue. Is it's just a really top heavy league. It looks like. Like you talk about Michigan State, you talk about Wisconsin, you talk about Michigan, and you talk about like maybe Purdue or Maryland, but you don't really hear about like Illinois, Indiana, UCLA. Like, what are these teams really capable of? I don't know. I haven't been as involved in that league. Um, Mark Few and Gonzaga get it done against Houston. No, I'm not going to take every 1 seed to the Elite Eight. Yes, the 1 seeds are generational this year, and they're really good, and you should trust them. But uh, right here, we like Gonzaga over Houston. They're top 10 in KenPom, and that clears the way for us to take Clemson deep because we love Clemson. I think they're serious. I think they're I just think they're a really good team. Give me Kentucky over Illinois. I just don't know enough about Illinois to really trust them. Give me Tennessee over UCLA, and then give me Tennessee over Kentucky. Give me Tennessee over Clemson. As much as I love Clemson, I just can't bring myself to put them into the Final Four. They made an Elite Eight run last year, returned a lot of those players, and I think they're going to make another run this year. I really like them deep, and that's where we are. So we land with a pretty chalk Final Four. We like 2 1 seeds and 2 2 seeds. It's not insane. Um, yeah, there's a couple teams we took deep. We took Arkansas to the Sweet 16. We took Clemson to the Elite Eight. Gonzaga to the Sweet 16. Um, we like Carolina in the Sweet 16 or in the Elite Eight. So a couple teams making runs. Now let's talk about teams to watch out for before I pick a champion here. Who could be a scary team that like could make a run that we haven't called out? Um, Unfortunately, I picked them getting upset early, but A&M, if they get through Yale, gets to Auburn. I think they are a good team. It's just that I think the Yale matchup is a real problem for them. But I think they're good enough that they could go get to Auburn, and they beat Auburn, by the way, earlier in the year. So A&M, a team that definitely could make a run. Marquette, I like Marquette over Michigan State. I could see it. Shaka Smart, he's done it before. It's a well-coached team. It's a talented team. I just don't really trust the Big East that much, so I didn't do it. But watch out for Marquette. Watch out for A&M to make a run. Ole Miss could even make a run down in this region. If they get through Carolina, they get an Iowa State team that's battered. They get a Michigan State team they could match up well with, or a Marquette team that they might match up well with. It'd be two ex-Texas coaches in that game, so that could be interesting. Obviously, Chris Beard took the job from Shaka Smart. There could be a storyline there. Carolina, I took them deep, but like this team is talented enough to make a run. No surprise there. Creighton's got a 7-footer that might be able to guard Janai Broom. If they're able to get there, they could wreck this region. So there's room for this top left region to be wrecked. Um, I think the team that does it is Carolina. I think this bottom half of the bracket is super vulnerable to a very, very talented Carolina team that's hot at the right time. Um, in the bottom left, I could see, it's a Hurley team. Like it's still Hurley. They could figure it out, and UConn might get hot. I don't think so. I think this Florida team's a juggernaut. Maryland, I love. I wanted Maryland to be playing any other one seed so I could pick them to win, but I think Florida is just too good. Um, I probably would have taken them over Auburn. Definitely would have taken them over Houston. Probably would have taken them over Duke just because I would want it personally. But this Maryland team is good. They could totally wreck that region. Kansas, I mean, it's still Kansas. Hunter Dickinson's there. DeJuan Harris is there. KJ Adams is there. It's an experienced team. It's a talented team. They're well coached. It's still Bill Self. It just has not gelled this year. And I just don't buy it, but I could see them wrecking the region. Um, Missouri could wreck the region. Like totally could see Missouri going on a run. Just think they're running into the best 3 seed by far in Texas Tech. So it is what it is. And then Texas Tech totally could make the Final Four. They could play Florida tough, no problem. In the top right, I think there's nobody who could wreck the bracket. I mean, nobody. I think Duke and Alabama are head and shoulders better than everyone else here. Wisconsin, maybe. Arizona could maybe beat Duke. Baylor could maybe beat Duke. Like these teams are at least well coached enough. But in terms of like there's just no team here that matches up with Duke. They're just too good. Until Alabama, there's nobody that can take Duke down, really. And if one of these teams beats Duke, it will be the most embarrassing thing. Um, I guess since either 2019 or since losing at Cameron Indoor in Coach K's last game or losing in the Final Four in Coach K's last game. Up there, in terms of Duke losses, this team is that good. And in the bottom right, Gonzaga could come out of the region. I mean, it would wreck me if Houston came out of the region, but that would be chalk. But it would wreck me. This McNeese team is good for a 12 seed, but I just like Clemson too much. High Point we've talked about. I don't buy a High Point. The whole world is on High Point. I really just don't trust it. Illinois could wreck the region. I don't know enough about them. Kentucky could wreck the region. I just don't trust them. I think they're a tier below those top SEC teams, but they are good. And then you've got Mick Cronin and UCLA lurking. Like it's still Mick Cronin and Rick Barnes at Tennessee. Like I don't know. It's a region where a lot could happen. This is my chaos region, despite finishing with 8-5, 3-2. It's not like it's not the most chaotic thing in the world, but could I see like 8-5, 6-7? Like, yeah, I could totally see that. That being said, I like Tennessee to come out of this region. So here we are. We end up with 2 1s and 2 2s. Um, the last time Auburn and Florida played, we could go find. But I'll tell you, I like Auburn, and I think everybody is on Florida, and rightfully so. I mean, they are very, very good. No, can I find this? Come on, help me find it. Okay, Florida beat Auburn most recently in the what's it called? Oh, this is just notable results. Okay, so they lost to Florida recently. Yeah, I guess it's not gonna show. Whatever, fine. I like Auburn. I think the whole world is taking Florida and Duke in the championship. I want to fade that, but I still want to take good teams. So who do I take? Well, Auburn's been the best team all year, and I trust Bruce Pearl. I'm going to take Auburn. And nobody plays at the pace that Alabama plays, but it's tough because Alabama, they come out of a region where I think they're like they have Duke there, and it's like do you trust Alabama to even get here really? Yes, I picked them to get here, but like Do you trust it to actually happen? Do you hedge and say, just in case Alabama doesn't make it, I want to take Tennessee the extra round because Tennessee's got an easier path? You can find a justification for that, but not me. Give me the Iron Bowl. Give me pace, 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 Alabama, and in a high scoring affair. I like the Auburn Tigers in the championship, and it's an Alabama Auburn game. You already know. We're going to say there are 190 points scored in this game. Yes, we'd like to enter these tournaments where I'm going to win a whole bunch of money. And yes, this is the perfect bracket. Here it is. I've got in my Elite Eight Auburn, Carolina, Alabama over Duke, Florida over Texas Tech, and Tennessee over Clemson. Pretty hyped about this one. It's going to be a great tournament. I've got Auburn as my champion, beating Alabama in a is a barn burner where they score a lot of points or no points. Let's call it a track meet. How about that? Beating Alabama in a track meet in their third matchup in the Iron Bowl. Let's submit that bracket, and thank you so much for watching. It's going to ask me for my address. I am not going to do that on Zoom. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, which I don't know when that'll be. So see you in the next one.